So first thing I like to do is look at the rocket launch. Because the rocket launch, it's all about how did they get there? How did they go to space? So as I was eating a banana, or I was gonna eat a banana, I was thinking about the rocket launch. The funny thing about the rocket launches, they always go up. It's like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have liftoff! And it's going upward! Look at that banana rocket ship go upward! And then you'll notice there's this little thing that starts to happen. It kind of starts to turn. It kind of starts to turn sideways. And then before you know it, they're showing you a fucking sideways flying rocket ship on the screen. Yep, looks like they're almost out in space. I think they're about to drop off the rocket thruster because they're almost in space, and it's flying fucking sideways. And then the nose will start to dip, and it'll look like it's fucking coming back down. Like, oh yeah, they're fucking going over the curvature of the Earth, man. They're just about into space. And then at the very end, the camera will go to the back of the rocket and fucking be like, yep, there goes the fucking rocket thruster, and here's a fake curve of the Earth. They made it to space, everybody! They made it! Woo! We made it to space! We made it again! We're so good! Hey, but how come us people here on the ground, we saw a fucking rocket ship go up and then turn sideways, and then it flew away from our eye view? Why didn't it go straight up? Oh, they won't make it into space if they go straight up. Come on, silly. Don't you know how rockets work? Rocket ships have to go sideways and then go around the Earth and catch the escape velocity. Otherwise, they won't make it into space. If it went straight up, it just won't be powerful enough to punch through the atmosphere and get to space. It has to go sideways and go around the Earth. So I don't get to see them go? No, you don't get to see them go with your eyes. You just get to wait for NASA to tell you it goes. Like, hey, did it disappear from your eyesight? Yeah, I don't see it anymore. They told us that they made it. I'm listening to them in the rocket ship right now, and they assure us that they made it to space. They made it, everybody! Woo! They made it! So you don't get to see them go. You just have to trust that they fucking win.
Trip in my rocket ship. We'll have a lovely afternoon. Kiss the world goodbye, and away we'll fly. Destination moon. We'll travel fast as a light till we're out of sight. The Earth will be like a toy balloon. What a thrill you'll get riding on my jet. A destination moon. We'll go up, 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 up. Straight to the moon we two. High in the starry blue. I'll be out of this world with you. So away we'll steal in my space mobile. A supersonic, a honeymoon. Leave your cares below. Pull the switch, let's go. A destination moon. We'll go up, 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 up. Straight to the moon we two. We'll be high in the starry blue. I'll be out of this world with you. So away we'll steal in my jet mobile. A supersonic, a honeymoon. Leave your cares below. Pull that switch, let's go. sky. Destination, destination moon.
and I'm going to get back to what I do best, and that's busting NASA's stinky balls. So, today we'll focus on one of my favorite contraptions ever constructed in all of American science. It was a $6 billion feat of American achievement. It was amazing. It was that piece of shit we call the Lunar Module. In my opinion, the Lunar Module looks like a fucking homeless tweaker's shelter. In my opinion, it never landed on the fucking moon. In my opinion, if you think it landed on the moon, you're a fucking idiot. Now, I know many people will be like, "Oh, you don't think we went to the moon?" No, but I only looked into this very recently, so I'm sure a lot of you have never looked into it. And one of the first things I saw that I was like, holy shit, what is that? Was the Lunar Module. So when I look at the Lunar Module and I say, holy shit, what is that? And I started zooming in on it and taking a closer look. Well, it looked as if it was made of tinfoil, curtain rods, scotch tape, an old tarp. It looked pretty pathetic. It looked like a piece of shit. It looked like a homeless tweaker's shelter. So that set off my spidey sense, and the more I dug into the moon landing, the more I found out it was all bullshit. But the Lunar Module has a special place in my heart because it looks so fucking terrible. I'm just surprised more people don't notice how bad it actually looks. So today we're going to focus on nothing but the Lunar Module. And because I can show you how terrible it looks, and I can tell you how I think it looks terrible, there's also going to be the rebuttal. And the rebuttal from NASA is always awesome. They always have an answer for everything. So I'm going to save all you YouTube haters, all you fucking bitches who show up and comment on the YouTube like, "Hey, flat-earth asshole, did you ever think of this? NASA says, nah, 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 nah." So I'm actually going to read NASA's answer to why the Lunar Module looks like such a piece of shit. They have an answer, and I'm going to read it to you. So no need to copy and paste NASA's answer, because I'm going to fucking read it to you right now.
Like everything else, the ascent and descent stages were built to be as light as possible, but because they knew they would operate only in a vacuum, many things really didn't need to be sturdy, nor did the shape of it matter. It would never have to deal with the aerodynamic drag. In fact, the descent stage was designed to buckle in the right places upon landing. That was how it absorbed the impact. It was also going to be used once. This was the most weight-efficient method of handling the shock of landing. That would be the main source of the wrinkling on the two struts wrapped in black on either side of the middle of the picture. They had buckled as they were designed to, being part of the descent stage. The foil is MLI, multi-layer insulation, and it is actually pretty complex. Heat is transmitted in a vacuum only by radiation. The key to insulation is to reflect as much energy away as possible. The layers were designed to do this maximally, and the layers had only enough contact between them to maintain the integrity of the material. Contact points create heat conduction, making them less effective. Thus, it is very wrinkly. All the other covering material you see is also just there to protect whatever is underneath from the effects of sunlight, mostly the heat of it, which is very hard to dissipate in a vacuum. You need fancy liquid cooling systems. Even if you don't use the fancy MLI, if you stop sunlight from hitting what's underneath, much of your job is done. That is all it has to do, and it was made merely sufficient for that job. Perhaps they were also thinking a bit about keeping dust out. Weight savings were more important than looks. The fancy stuff is underneath all those makeshift-looking panels.
From an analytical standpoint, photographic anomalies have to be sought out with an understanding of lighting and shadows. The most straightforward is simple. When objects are lit solely by the sun, as all the scenes on the moon were said to be, after all, lighting equipment was not only impractical, it was unnecessary in bright sunlight, then all shadows, regardless of the landscape, will run parallel with one another and never intersect, as shown by this example. In these seldom seen photographs, obtained from a rarely used auxiliary NASA archival site, it is clear that these scenes were lit with artificial light. These shadows, which are cast at different angles, are evidence that a second light source is being used. In addition, the sun would not cause an isolated hotspot like this, only an artificial light would. Again, intersecting shadows and another hotspot. And again. And again. In this magnification of an Apollo photograph, a rock, very likely a papier-mâché prop because of the crease here, is categorized with the letter C. In later releases of the same picture, the letter is gone, probably airbrushed out.
There is no evidence at all of any astronaut making a leap or a jump anywhere near a height commensurate with 1/6 g possibilities. But if they were actually simulating EVAs on Earth, they would then need help with their bulky heavyweight suits and backpacks in order to achieve the visual effect of moving around easily in lunar gravity. So enter wire supports. This is a tried and tested way of relieving weight from performers, or even flying an actor. Of course, confirmation that wires were used is in the detail. Here in this Apollo 14 footage, you can see a ping, a momentary glint. And again, run slowly. And once more. There are other examples too. This one is from Apollo 17 during the flag scene. You can see the ping at the top of the frame. In this footage from Apollo 16, we have telltale evidence of a slightly floating or dangling effect at the jump salute location. It's as if the weight is being taken off the astronaut's feet just a second or so too soon. Compare that sequence with an obvious rehearsal rig. The dangling effect is very evident. And here again, from the same mission, Apollo 16, we have an astronaut who is about to get up.
Give me a hand. Okay, here we go.
Let me give you a hand, he says.
There goes bag. There goes another bag. Bag. Coming.
Look at it again. The astronaut is getting up with the wire taking the weight, relieving him of 5/6 of the Earth's gravity. A magic trick? No, just the help of a wireman. This is a slow-motion jump that would have been seen live on TV. And here it is at normal speed. The well-rehearsed, pre-recorded material was apparently slowed down by 50% when we saw it on TV.
Boss, can you do it? This is funny, back in the 60s when they went to the moon, this is the first time we actually had like an instrument of flight to actually go high enough to actually fucking check out if what we agreed to 500 years ago was real. So if they were wrong after 500 years, the question is, would they tell you? Here's like a perfect example of them landing on the moon. I mean, it's proof right there. This is an official NASA photo of the first Apollo 11 lunar module landing on the moon. I mean, it's right there. This is proof, man. It's the pictures right there. It's landing on the moon. But the only problem I have with this picture is that it's taken from the moon. I don't know what the big deal was with being the first guy on the moon. It seems the camera crew was already there. The fucking tripod. Camera ABC.
Stage pushed. Mission arm is destined. Okay, I'm going to get the pro. 99, proceeded. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector good. Ag side. Pitch over. Roger, you have good thrust. Okay, 30 seconds. 308 your number. Okay, coming through 1,500 feet. And H dot looks good.
A group of social criminals, these people in the space program. Nassholes, I call them.
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself. Away from me. You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
You want me to knock you in the head?
Well, I want you to swear to God on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Okay.
If you walked on the moon, we're given the opportunity to swear to God that you walked on the moon.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the hell knocked out of you if you don't leave me alone.
So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument, then put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Several, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. Why don't you talk to the administrator in NASA? We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight.
Of course. I don't hit people, but you're going to be on the deck unless you get
I'm heading out. I appreciate it.
And get the hell out of my house.
Well, I take your stuff and get the fuck out. Why don't you quote me and say it's bullshit?
When the shadows interact with, I don't give a damn about all that shit.
Shit. Of lunar orbit being falsified.
Being falsified?
Correct. We've got an unedited tape from a source at the Johnson Space Center.
Totally nonsense. Mr. Seibel, you do not deserve answers.
If you show this publicly, you're open for a lawsuit. Okay?
Surface of Mars. This is like footage from Mars, and I don't believe it at all. Oh, this is supposed to be the Mars fucking... They're leaving the surface.
That's a close-up of Mars.
It's a close-up of Mars.
Is it Mars or a testicle?
Look at that. Like, I'm supposed to believe that that's Mars. How fucking stupid do you gotta be?
Look at that surface. Uranus.
Oh, that's the moon of Uranus.
Xylovia.
Oh, wow.
Whip out your telescope and look at Mars. It's a dot of light. It's an orange dot. And then when you look at a NASA image, it's this desert world with canyons and ice and craters and shit. But when you look at it through an amateur telescope, like a good amateur telescope, not one from fucking Walmart, like a good one, it's an orange dot. It's not a desert world with canyons and shit that they went to. There's no rover on Mars. They're prepping us with movies like The Martian so they can steal our money on a fake trip to Mars, just like they stole our money on a fake trip to the moon.
This is Mars. This is the surface of Mars. Yeah. Very sandy. Surface of Mars without the black background. And there you go. This is just the desert. Oh, this is sunrise on Star Trek. So it's a Hollywood image that looks real. Oh, this is amazing. We just went to Mars. Hey, big round of applause now for the Americans going to Mars. And this is the official image of them landing there. It's fucking funny. It's like, isn't it amazing how they were landing there and they already had an airbrush artist with his easel set up to paint it land that quick. It's like, unbelievable. How many people think this is real? This is the official landing. Oh, then they got another one with a metal sort of pipe and sand in black and white. That's proof. They were there, man. They're landing on the sand. Check it out. That's it. There you go. Some more images. This is what they're doing on Mars right now. Moving around with their little rover. That's a real photo. Look at that. This is another. I swear to God, they're on Mars right now. Look at that. This thing's moving around. I don't even know what it does.
Now, it is very important that you realize that the International Space Station is a hoax. Yes, there may be something flying above your head, but it is not a space station in outer space. If you didn't see my last video, here are some of the things I found wrong with the so-called live footage. The first thing many people notice in NASA's recordings from outer space is there are never any stars. Now, when you ask the question, where are the stars, the nearest heliocentrist will tell you that the sun is so bright that when you're in outer space you can't see any stars. Which to me is so ridiculous, I like to reply, well, the sun is a star, how come we can see the sun? Where are the satellites? Apparently we have thousands and thousands of satellites orbiting our Earth. Yet as the ISS goes around and around the Earth, we don't see not a single one. I find it strange you can watch the entire 4 hours of footage and we don't bump into one satellite for us to look at? We don't ever get to see one, ever? And you don't see any space debris either. There should be some rocks and some space crap floating around up there, and you don't see any debris. No satellites, no debris, no stars, no nothing. Space is pretty boring, it looks like. And here's something else you don't see. You don't see any airplanes. Out of the thousands and thousands of flights taking place every day, you don't see not one single airplane reflecting some sunlight back at the ISS. Sure, the airplanes are going to be small, but they should be down there reflecting some sunlight, right? That right there is Baja, Mexico. There's a bunch of tourist locations all over Mexico. We should see flights heading back and forth to all the tourist locations there in Mexico. Are you telling me that you can see an airplane from the ground? You can see the ISS from the ground, but when you're on the ISS, you can't see any planes looking down? Now, one thing I notice about these clouds, they don't change, they don't morph, and they don't move. When I'm standing on the ground, I can look up and watch the clouds change, morph, and move. But when you're on the ISS and you look down at the clouds, they don't change, they don't morph, and they don't move. Now, many people were claiming that their country or their entire continent was covered up by clouds in the footage. Now, anyone who went outside that day and saw clear blue sky, a nice sunny day, and then went and looked at the footage and saw that their entire country or their entire continent was covered by clouds, well, that person would know that this footage is a fraud. Many people noticed that this panel had curvature, which closely resembled the curvature of the Earth below. Now the question becomes, was this panel actually curved, or is this just evidence of a fisheye lens? What in the hell is this weird ring? Yeah, that ring just above the text. Many people in the comments section of my last video were asking, what in the hell is that weird ring? I have no idea what that is. I just wanted to point it out. Here's a quick zoom in. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Here's something funny I didn't notice until after I made my last video. You can watch the Earth's curve change. Huh, did you see it right there? Pay close attention, here it comes. So you can see the Earth's curve totally bulge out. Watch for it. Blah. See, it's very slight, the Earth's curve, and then it bulges out and becomes very prominent. So at that point, you gotta ask, what just made the Earth's curve completely change? And here's another example of the Earth's curvature changing. You can see the arc of the curve bulge upward. Funny enough, that panel also bulges upward as well. And when I speed up the footage, it becomes even more noticeable. Watch this. Blip, 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 blibbity, blobbity.
I watched a bunch of guys behind a green screen faking it and acting like they're on an International Space Station. Every International Space Station with that bald fucking idiot who's acting like he's in space, he's always doing backflips. Oh, look at me, I'm in space. I'm gonna do a backflip. Woo! See, I'm in space. You can't do a backflip unless you're in space. Woo! You can't do a backflip if you are in a harness and have a green screen. You can only do a backflip in space. Woo! So he does that at the end of every fucking interview. I don't even want to know his name. He's a bald piece of shit fucking Freemason, paid off asshole liar. And he's on the International Space Station on the ground. And he fucking does a fake backflip in a harness and a green screen. And he's got his shirt tucked like this every time. And he's like, yep, look at me. I'm a bald asshole in space. Hi, I'm on Colbert Show. Yep, I'm doing interviews. If you'll notice, he's always doing this. And his shirt is always like this. There's like these things like this, and he's like, yep, this is how normal people are. This is how normal people float in space. And at the end of every interview, he goes, all right, here I go. Backflip time. Whee! And he does a fucking backflip. Like, dude, how old are you? Like, do you still have to prove to us you're in space by doing backflips? Like, when you were like 20 and you first went to space, I could see you been like, yeah, man, we're doing backflips, front flips, bitch, yeah, we're in space, yeah. But once you're like 60 and shit, shouldn't you like stop doing backflips? We get it, you're in space. Why do you have to prove it? Why do you have to continue doing these backflips and play ping pong with some water? Look, we're playing ping pong with water in space. So it has to be real. But what are you doing playing with water in the fucking International Space Station? Wouldn't that clog your instruments? Like, wouldn't that like mess things up? Dude, you could die at any moment. You could fucking die up there and you're playing ping pong with water? Oh, thanks for stealing my tax money and playing ping pong with water in front of a green screen, dude. Awesome.
My research of the last year has led me to the conclusion that not even low Earth orbit is possible, that the International Space Station is a hoax, and all manned space travel is fake. First though, let's have a look at the International Space Station. I want to talk about some of the anomalies I see there. For the inside of the International Space Station, there are a couple of zero-gravity tricks that they use to fake it. The first is they have a complete mock-up of the International Space Station built on the inside of an airplane. And that airplane does a bunch of rises and falls. It does a parabolic, upside-down parabolic trajectory, and that simulates zero gravity. The other main way they simulate the zero gravity is with suspension in front of a blue screen. And they use that trick for extended periods of time, for longer than 45-second segments. But they can't move around as much. They can't do the acrobatic flips and rolls in the extended mode. So there's full motion mode where they can fully move around, and that's faked in a plane. And then there's suspended or extended mode where they're suspended by wires in front of a blue screen. They don't move around as much, but they can make the scene last for a longer period of time.